Hey, what's up, crypto friends? Welcome to the channel. My name is Edward Ornelas. In today's video, we're going to be discussing, is Bitcoin going to bounce here? And we'll really explain what's going on with Bitcoin. And are we going to continue its rally like we did back in February, March? Or are we possibly going to keep going lower? All right, I'm going to be explaining this to the best of my ability. Again, this is not financial advice, so please take everything that I say with a grain of salt. Let's get right into it, okay? So first and foremost, for the longest time, we were consolidating and forming what's known as a wedge, right? So you can see right here, we had a what's known as I guess you could say a descending wedge, more so because it is after an uptrend, it forms what's known as a descending wedge. And back about 4 days ago now, this was last week, we did get a huge breakdown. It was around a 15% breakdown, I believe. Yeah, no, from its lows, it was around 20%. But currently it's sitting at around 16% from that breakdown. And so the question remains is, are we going to, get some consolidation and bounce right back up, or are we going to continue to go down lower? Personally, for me, and I'm just going to state this right now, I personally believe that Bitcoin is going to go lower from here. I don't expect super lows like 3,000, 1,000 low, but I do expect lower, like 6,000 possibly. All right, maybe in between, maybe 7,000 or so. But let me explain why. All right. So like I said before, if we draw a little triangle right here, this was its descending wedge. And then if we draw our trend line that we were supporting throughout the entire run up, right? So more or less this right here, you can see right here, we ended up breaking its uptrend quite a while back, all right? Back in July, actually. You can see this trend line did play a huge influence because we did have a rejection right off of it. And not only that though, it has not managed to get above this bull trend ever since. It rejected it back here in August. And again, like I said before, it did break that uptrend. So right away, we already established that we are technically in a downtrend. And as of right now, this line right here, all right, so let's remove these other two. But this line right here signifies that we are in a downtrend. It rejected and failed to get above it every single time. All right, so 1, 2, 3. Okay, wrong one. Here we go. Right, and it rejected to get above that 4 consecutive times to the point where it exhausted all the buyers. And the question is, well, Edward, we're only retesting the bottom of this wedge right here. I mean, the bottom of this area. So it's very likely we're going to, end up getting a bounce, right? That's what everybody thinks. I've seen this time and time again where people believe that we are going to bounce right here. And look, I don't like to speak in absolutes, but personally, I don't believe we are going to get a huge reaction here and break towards the upside. A lot of people are comparing this breakdown to that of 2016, 2017 run up. But if we pull up our EMAs, right? So they're currently loading actually. Right, so if you pull up our EMAs, you can see right here, we have 2 bottom lines. We have this yellow line and we have this orange line. This one right here is the 200 exponential moving average, and this one right here is the 140s. Notice that we closed 3 consecutive times below the 200 exponential moving average. Right, so we closed right here below it. We closed a second time below it. We closed a third time below it. And currently, since this one's still active, it can still technically have a chance for it to close above it. But as of right now, we're still below it. And so to me, this lets me know that 1, we already broke that uptrend. Notice that when we began its uptrend, we were well above this yellow line, this 200 exponential moving average. And just to show you how much of an influence, again, that this line has, all right, let me pull up a different chart. Let's pull up Bitstamp, right? But just to show you how much of an influence this yellow line has, look at the uptrend that Bitcoin had throughout 2016, right? So from 2016 up until 2017. Every consecutive time that Bitcoin would retest the yellow line, the 200 exponential moving average, it would always close above it every single time, right? Right here, we came close, and you can see right here, it bounced right off of it, literally perfectly right off of it. Right here, it closed above the 140, right? And so what I'm trying to get at is that we've already had 3 consecutive daily closes below it. So what makes you think that we are in an uptrend? Frankly, I just don't believe we are anymore. In fact, we are beginning a new, bear trend really. I know people don't like to hear that. I know that's not what anybody wants to hear, but as right now, this is just the case, and this is the matter of fact, right? So what we have to establish here is that as long as Bitcoin remains both below the 200 exponential moving average and below this bear trend right here, right? So this long line that established its trend, then we are technically still in a bear market, and we have possibly more bloodshed to come in future times, right? And I will be updating this because now that we have some momentum, we're not just trading sideways, you know, I'll be a lot more active. But frankly, what I see coming in the maybe perhaps future days is that I do see some consolidation above this, you know, below that resistance area, right? So as long as we're below this, yeah, I do think we are maybe going to get some consolidation, maybe a possible push up towards 8,500, 8,700, very possible. But as long as we're below that, like I said, I do think that eventually we will see another leg towards the downside. And so that is my personal deposition. It's where I'm currently standing. And we saw something similar to this back in the day, right? We saw this back in November. We had some consolidation, and then from that point, we continue to make some lower lows. So it's not at all uncommon for Bitcoin to consolidate here and, you know, to make some lower lows. Even though the RSI, yes, is still, I guess, technically oversold, it doesn't mean that it can't go lower, right? Back here, it was way oversold as well, yet we still made some lower lows. So don't look at the RSI to say that, hey, look, just because the RSI is oversold, it's way down here, doesn't mean that it just necessarily has to push up. Doesn't mean we necessarily need to break towards the upside. We can very well consolidate below this 200 exponential moving average and make a lower leg towards the downside. So you're probably saying, well, if Bitcoin's going down, how's that going to affect the altcoins? Personally, same way that I'm bearish with Bitcoin, I'm personally bearish with altcoins just as well. If you look at the overall reaction that altcoins have had throughout Bitcoin's downtrend, right, since pretty much back in June 25th, right? So you can see right here, this is June 26th right there, June 25th, June 26th. So literally, since Bitcoin stopped uptrending, altcoins similarly started to downtrend. Not only did they start to downtrend, they started suffering much worse than that of Bitcoin. And so that lets me know that as long as Bitcoin money isn't flowing into Bitcoin, then money won't necessarily flow into altcoins as well. So personally, as long as we remain also, you know, in a downtrend with altcoins, I do personally remain bearish, and I do think it's very possible that the altcoin market cap will retest back down here towards January, February, you know, December lows. I do believe that it's going to retest down that far, even though we are at currently the monthly support structure. So again, it's more of a personal guess, but we are still in a downtrend, so this is valid. At any moment's notice, this could change, right? Technically, we could end up breaking this downtrend and continue to possibly make higher highs. It's possible, right? It's very possible, but I just don't see that right now, all right? And so for the time being, I'm going to play the trend, and I always talk about this. The trend is your best friend, so play the trend, please. And so I will remain bearish until then. So I know this isn't sexy. I know this isn't what you guys want to see or hear when it comes to, you know, hearing a bullish scenario. It's just, to me, there just isn't right now, guys. It hasn't been bullish for a couple of months now. And frankly, you know, the overall, like, I guess you could say, you know, I feel like right now a lot of people are still hoping, right? There are a lot of people are still hopeful that Bitcoin is just going to bounce right off of this and continue to make higher highs, right? That's just what everybody wants. But as you guys know, guys, and I've been saying this for a while, is that I personally don't believe Bitcoin's still in a bull run. It just isn't. I believe right now we're still in a consolidating factor, right? I do believe that Bitcoin is going to continue to trade sideways until we have a full breakout, right? Until we break out of its current highs. So my personal, like, I guess when it comes to Bitcoin in the long term, I believe that eventually, you know, we're going to get down towards possible lows of around 6,000 maybe, like I said, 6,000, so maybe around this range, and then continue to consolidate for that period for a while, right? So I don't think we're necessarily going to get higher or above 10,000 for a couple of months, maybe a year's time, to the point where we're so tight that eventually we get a breakout and continue to make higher highs. So I'm not just coming out of the blue with that. I've been saying this for quite some time. If you look back into some of my older videos, I've been saying this as well. So again, this might not be sexy. This is not what you guys want, especially if you are a long-term trader or want to just simply break even. If you bought at the top, it's just going to be a while, guys. I'm sorry, but that's just the way the market's standing and just what it's telling me. All right, so anyways, so if you like these kind of videos, I know I'm being truthful here as much as I can be and just pointing out what I see, then subscribe to this channel, and I will continue to update you guys. I'll also continue to start uploading my personal trades. Even though we are technically in a bear trend, I have been making some consecutive trades throughout this market. I did get a couple of them recently, and I will update you guys on those, right? So I made about 700 bucks here on TRX. Back here I lost around 1,600 bucks, but before that I had made around 1,500. So technically we're still up overall $1,400 or so. So if you guys are interested in learning how to trade, I will probably upload some of those videos as well. Anyways, I'm rambling on, but I hope you guys enjoy this video, and I'll see you on the next one.